Welcome, everybody, to the very first podcast for IronRoad. This is number one, and we've got a really special guest here with us today. Not only is this our number one podcast, but we've got the one and only tech Sherpa, Ken Bailey, joining us here today. Ken, thanks for joining us.
Billy, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, excited to talk to you. Had the privilege of working with Ken for 4 years now.
Coming up on 4, yeah.
Coming up on 4 years, and we've had the opportunity to learn so much in a world that's changing so fast. So Ken is the CEO of the Tech Sherpa, and so Ken, tell our audience just what's going on out there in the security world today. It's a crazy world. Things are changing quickly, and companies' needs for people like you is growing. Your business has to be booming.
It is. It's amazing how quickly these people, attackers, are adapting to security protocols. Yeah. It's long gone are the days of just installing something like antivirus and feeling safe.
Yeah, like, hey, I can put this in and I keep all the bad guys out.
Exactly.
It's like a security system.
No,
forget it.
There's whole businesses in foreign countries where people walk in every day with a briefcase and do their 9 to 5 just trying to hack.
It's scary.
It's an industry.
When
it's a business.
It's a
big industry.
Yeah. And when you think about just our workforce here, there is still a good part of our workforce that is fearful. You know, you're talking to a guy like myself that didn't grow up in a technology age, but they're fearful of technology, and now to think that there's a whole industry out there to attack something that they may have built up, spent their whole life building up,
preying on that fear.
Yeah,
it's sickening. It really is.
So what are they looking for?
Any weakness they can find. Most attacks start with the human being, believe it or not. Social engineering is what they call it.
Okay.
You've seen the emails. You get them all the time.
Oh, my gosh. I text you or email you
2-3
every
times
day.
a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But yeah, it's, so you get the email that says, here's the invoice that you were looking for. And you click on it, and then they install software that way.
Okay.
And it's it doesn't happen instantly. The attacks don't happen instantly. They install a little bit of software here, a little bit there, through over a period of months, and find the weaknesses within your network. They find the people that are weakest, and then they'll mount an attack. And they usually mount an attack against multiple businesses at one time.
So when you say the people that are weakest, so tell me what that looks like. If we're talking to an organization that's listening out there, and they're trying to help their people become more aware of these attacks, what does is it somebody like me?
It can be anybody. They watch, right? They look at your website. They look at any public information they can find about you.
Because there's always something familiar on it.
Exactly. And they try to find something familiar that you will find familiar that you'll click on. And once you click on it, they're either going to ask you for a username and password, and they'll make that website asking for the username and password look like something you're familiar with, your credit card company, your bank, your email system, and then they get your credentials, and then they just set in your email and just watch. And they read your emails, and they watch your correspondence, and they try to act like you and get your friends, your people, your colleagues to fall for it as well.
So they're just searching for data.
Yep.
When you say they're trying to build a software, they're looking for something that would allow them to get into my email and then get into my life or my friends' lives.
Correct. As many people as they can get to.
They're just and do they sell the information? Is that what they're doing? Is that what these industries, is that how they're making money?
Exactly.
Or are they stealing?
Both. So they'll get as much of your data. So you, like the data that you keep every day, that you generate in your business, whether that's people's social security numbers, dates of birth, account numbers. They'll steal that information and they'll sell it off on the dark web, or they'll use it for fraudulent activity. Any data they can get, that just personal information about you and your employees, they will resell that on the dark web for other attackers to use against you. Once they're done with you, they just sell all the information they've gathered about you on the dark web, and somebody else tries another attack.
It's just hard to believe. So when they're looking for personal information, it makes sense to me. You take a company like IronRoad that houses
a lot of data,
a lot of personal data. Yeah. So any payroll company, right? Anybody that's dealing with an individual that has to purchase benefits or
the payroll and HR industry right now is just ripe with attacks.
I mean, it makes great sense, right?
Yeah.
Because here we are representing thousands and thousands of households that have exactly what these hackers are looking for.
And it's easy pickings. Most payroll HR companies are smaller businesses. They don't have the technology resources to keep up with these people today.
So okay, here's my question to you. Maybe this will help some of our listeners. When you look at IronRoad and you look at the thousands of employees and employees' family members whose data we house, what do you say to them to say, here's how we're protecting you?
So we protect you on multiple levels. And at the first level, it's the employee, it's your employees, training, security awareness training.
Internal IronRoad employees are trained.
Correct.
Yes.
And encouraged to report anything. If you are not 100%
We've scared
sure,
them.
Exactly. If you're not 100% sure of what's in your inbox, you send it to the Tech Sherpa and we'll verify it.
Yes.
We monitor.
We bring in the bodyguard, baby.
We do. We monitor all the network traffic. So every bit of data that comes in or out of your systems goes into what we call a SIM, which is just a system that gathers all that data and then uses artificial intelligence to analyze it and look for any anomalies. So our artificial intelligence has basically over the last year has learned how IronRoad does business, learned the communications that you have. And if it sees any anomalies, it throws up a red flag. And then our employees investigate that red flag to see, is this a potential attack?
So artificial intelligence, this will let our listeners know exactly how ignorant I am. What are we using? What's our artificial intelligence that's helping the Tech Sherpa to understand our flow of business so that the Tech Sherpa is aware of what to look for?
So artificial intelligence and machine learning, what it is you take a program, okay, and you teach it to do one task. And then you multiply that program by as many times as you can, depending on how much computing resource you have. And so for example, 1,000 times, and you tell it, repeat that task, okay? And every time you fail, eliminate the ones that fail.
I got you.
The ones that learn, take those, combine them together. So it teaches itself how to be better and better at that one task. Over time, it just becomes really good at that task.
All I can think about is my senior year of high school typing class.
Exactly. It's exactly like that.
I'm like, what in the world? How far have we come in a short period of time? Holy smokes.
Oh, it's crazy.
It is crazy. But the name, so like AI, for example. So what are we using?
So we're using a machine learning algorithm that I wrote myself.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I told you he's amazing. He wrote it, baby. Good luck getting in here. We're inviting all hackers. Come on. We got the Tech Sherpa. Bring it on, baby.
So yeah, we run that on some commercially available software.
Yep.
But it's an algorithm that I've written myself that analyzes and it thinks like an attacker would think. Okay. And so basically what it does all day long is it looks at all the data of all my customers. And when I say data, I don't mean your proprietary data. I just mean the network communications, okay, the log data. It looks at all the log data for all of my customers and analyzes it, and it tries to figure out how to hack those customers. And then it learns from that data, and by doing that, it can think ahead of the attackers. And so we can find weaknesses, we can find vulnerabilities in the systems before they're found by the attackers.
Yeah, but you basically pretend to be one.
Exactly.
What would these guys want to do?
Exactly.
Beat them to the punch.
Exactly. Think like them. You know.
Yeah.
What's the old saying? If you want to catch a thief, think like a thief.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. And so we take that data that comes out of that, and then we eliminate pieces in the system that could be potentially used in an attack. Every day you install software, free apps from the web, or even commercially available software. And within that software will be pieces of code that are vulnerable. And the manufacturer doesn't necessarily know they're vulnerable yet. And that's what attackers do. They spend their time trying to find those vulnerabilities. Well, AI is better. It's better than the human being and finds those vulnerabilities. We found 24 months in advance it finds those vulnerabilities. So once we've identified one of those, we'll eliminate it from the system.
Right.
If we can't eliminate it from the system, then we put a special watch on it, right?
Yep.
We tell the AI, keep a close eye on this piece of code. If it
watch
changes,
this.
then we have an issue.
Yeah, the lock on the door doesn't work. You put somebody at the door.
Put a dog on the other side.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Or a couple of them. So tell me a little bit, Ken, if somebody is, if I'm a business owner and I'm concerned about my security, you guys have a cybersecurity package.
We do.
And it's pretty unique.
It is.
I mean, what you're doing in the marketplace is really something the small business guy, and when I say that, anybody from 2 employees up to, 200 employees.
Yep, that's about the range.
Should they should understand this.
Yes.
So what do you say?
Don't discount it, because it's
yeah,
not
and
a matter
that's
of
because
if,
that's what
it's
happens.
a matter of when.
That's it. So you take somebody like myself, who prior to getting to know just what's going on in the world through the good fortune of meeting you, and being educated, I'm thinking, oh, come on, man, that's not going to happen to us. Who wants us?
Right.
Who wants to mess with a small little company here in Cincinnati, Ohio? And you basically said to me, Billy,
That's
wake
exactly
up,
who they're after.
wake up, buddy. You are. There's somebody with their briefcase going to work looking to get into our system today, and even in the last 4 years, the number
huge.
It's unreal.
Just
the amount
skyrocketing.
It's skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And so the person the first thing you said was, don't think that way.
Yeah.
And I can testify to the fact that that's exactly the way I was thinking, and I bet you the majority of the people that are running small business here in this country feel the exact same way. Mm-hmm. So what do you tell those people?
Education, right? So we offer free employee assessment and training, and that's a great way for you to figure out just how vulnerable your company is.
So what the heck are we paying for then? It's free. Did you hear that, guys? Hey, we got to check. I got to check that invoice,
right.
Man. No.
So you get.
So you really can get a free assessment.
A free assessment and 12 months of employee security training.
Now why would you do that?
Because I want people to be aware.
Yeah.
And that's the first step. If you're aware of what your potential issues are, and you're educated, you're going to make the right decisions. And like you said yourself, it's so hard for so many people to understand the complexity of cybersecurity. And my goal, the Tech Sherpa's goal, is to take that complexity out of it and make it simple and easy to understand.
And one thing I will say, I'll put a little plug in here for you, because you've done a ton of this with us, and you've done it on our behalf with one of our partners, Infor, who's a much larger company than we are. But you do a tremendous job from a presentation standpoint. I mean,
thank you, Billy.
It's just the truth. So we get you up in front of a group of employees. You have a real gift of being able to articulate a very complicated subject and have it make sense to the people that you're dealing with and keep their attention. So, so that's a skill set that you've got.
That's the way I've learned in my career and my life. Is I've always, when I'm trying to learn something new, I compare it to something I already know.
Yeah.
And that just makes that process easier. And that's kind of the way I like to explain things to people.
Yeah. So tell us about how's your business? Is it booming?
It's booming. It's doing great. Yeah, we're doing really good.
That's that's fantastic. Fantastic. So let me ask you a question about the Tech Sherpa and how you would, if there are competitors that you've got, who's your number one competitor?
My number one competitor is, right now, I would say, a company called Alien Vault. They offer a very similar package to what I do, but it's about 10 times as expensive.
That's a lot of times.
It is. They are about $250 per employee per month.
Wow. Well, but
and
when
we're 25.
You're 125.
Just 25.
You're 25
for the security package.
Oh, yeah, you said 10 times. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. That's the gap out there. So all the cybersecurity research, all the products, it's all in enterprise level. And once you get below that enterprise level, there's really not much for the small business. You just have a few products that you have to put together yourself and manage yourself. There's not companies like the Tech Sherpa out there that are offering a managed, monitored, enterprise level package that the small business can afford.
That's an amazing difference.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of the insurance world.
Yeah.
You know, which we deal in and day out.
Yeah.
You think about health insurance. It's amazing how many times we'll walk into a potential prospect or a prospect, pardon me, and you'll be able to go to one of the, the big four insurance companies and find a price for this company that is half of what they're paying. Yeah, wow. Just because maybe that business hadn't looked at it in a couple of years, or somebody fell asleep at the wheel, and yeah, it's amazing. But 10 times is a big number, and people need to know that because there is so much ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what you said is really important when you talk about just people understanding and getting to a point where, you are you're the person that industry is looking for.
Absolutely.
If you've got data, they want you.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Any data they can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you don't have data, they still want to use your systems to get to other people.
Yeah.
Which makes you look bad, gives your company a bad reputation.
Yeah. Well, you've got, when you start talking about the payroll world, there's not anything that we're not dealing with that companies don't want to get at.
Correct.
So you got to really,
accounts,
watch
401k, health insurance information.
So you said something earlier that I don't believe I'd heard 3 years ago, and I still know very little about it. And my guess is if I'm that way, there are other people that way. The dark web.
The dark web, yeah.
What is up with the dark web? I mean, I've heard it, and listening to my kids talk about it. They're like, Dad, you can go on there and hire people to do
anything.
And it's not traceable?
It's not traceable.
Who starts something like that?
I honestly don't know where the dark web started, but it actually started from standard encryption technologies that we use every day. And so what the dark web is,
it's scary.
Yeah, it is. It's horribly scary. It's basically, it's a search engine, right? It's like a Google.
So somebody built it.
Basically, yeah, somebody built it. It's kind of a shared system. So it doesn't live in one place like a Google does, right? It lives on everybody's computer that uses it. Well, it is very mysterious. And
there you go. That's the word.
It is.
It sounds bad.
It does. And it is bad. It is bad. And you can buy drugs on there. You can hire hitmen on there. It's just crazy.
If you go on the dark web, you hire somebody, you hire a hit on me, and it's not traceable?
It's not traceable. It's not traceable. And
that's scary. I mean, what?
It's 100% not traceable.
So the only way that you would be able to get caught is if the person you hired turned on you.
Correct. And even then, they may not know who you are. If you've taken the correct steps in using the dark web,
dude,
they wouldn't even know who you are.
This is freaky.
It is. Here's how it works. Okay, so normal encryption. If I want to send you an email, Billy, and it has something I want to keep safe, I encrypt it. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It takes all the letters, all the words, and jumbles them up, right? And then there's a cipher or a key that goes with that that your computer has, and it can de-jumble it. Okay, that's standard encryption. So standard encryption can be broken. You need a lot of computing power to break standard encryption, right? But
does that mean a lot of money?
A lot of money.
Yep.
A lot of computing power. So governments, the NSA, the FBI, they can do that. So they can track people using standard encryption to do illegal things. So what the dark web does is it uses 3 forms of encryption across 3 different people. So if I want to send you a message on the dark web, I encrypt it, and then I send it to an anonymous person on the dark web, what we call a peer. Somebody else.
How are they anonymous? Anonymous because they've encrypted their data?
So here's how it becomes anonymous. I send them the message. I encrypt it 3 times, okay? And I send them the message. Now, for them to send it on to the next person, they have to be able to decrypt it. But they only have to be able to decrypt 1 layer, and that's who the next person is. They don't have to be able to decrypt the message itself. So I send the message out to the dark web, and I send out the key to decrypt who it goes to next, okay? So that first peer then forwards it to the second person. Now the second person only has the key to know who to send it to next, the final person. Mm-hmm. They don't know me. They just know where they got the message from and where it's going to. Mm-hmm. And so they send it on. Now the third person can decrypt that third piece, which is the message, and read it. And all they know is who to send it back to, that
so
second person.
So they don't know who sent it.
They don't know who sent it, and they don't know who sent it to the person that sent it to them. The dark web is, like I said, it's just technologies that already exist that people have cuddled together or put together to create this anonymous way of transmitting messages.
So is it kind of by accident? It's like you and I are both technical people, and we start going back and forth, and we figured out that I send you an encrypted message that will allow you to open it, but send the second encrypted message on to somebody else who won't know that I'm sending it on to them, and they send it to the...
It's kind of, you know, if there's a will, there's a way. If somebody wants to get at something, they'll figure it out.
It just kind of was born out of technology that's available.
Yep.
It's just crazy.
It is.
And so that dark web, how does the dark web pose potential threats for that small business person today?
So,
or does it?
It does, because in today's threat landscape, there's so much data that is compromised. You see it in the news every day, right? Like Hyatt servers were hacked and millions of records were released, right? And so, yeah, you go on a website and you book a hotel room, right? And you don't put a lot of personal information in there, but it's enough to get somebody started. Mm-hmm. And so it's all these leaks all over the place. That data is pulled together and sold on the dark web, and it's sold to hacker groups that use that data to then target people and to target organizations, target people like yourself and your organization. Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a guy like Art Leisman, client of ours that you know, that you've done work with, and Art's got 30 employees down in St. Bernard, what's a guy like Art Leisman have to worry about?
He probably takes credit card payments. He probably has bank account information on his systems, not to mention his own banking information.
So just the same things. They're looking for his people's data and people's data that he's got access to.
Yep, exactly.
That's just it's a whole new world. So if you were, Ken, if there were three things that you'd want to get across today to the small business that's out there, number one is know that you're a target.
Know that you're a target.
Yep.
Realize that when it happens, you're not going to know it. A lot of people think that
it's kind of like
when you get hacked, you know it. Or millions of dollars
kind of like
stolen.
Being poisoned.
Right.
It's Friday, but Sunday's coming.
Exactly. It's a little bit over time. Once they're in your system, they're going to lay low. Right. They're not going to make themselves known. They're going to lay low and siphon off data here and there. They're going to stay under the radar. So just number one, know it's going to happen.
They don't want you to know they're there.
Exactly. Number two, know that you're not going to know when it does happen. And number three, when it finally comes to fruition and their attack is complete, all the data they've stolen about you is going to be sold to somebody else that's going to do it again.
Hard to believe, man.
It is.
So Ken, give us some personal stuff. Tell me about your family.
Oh, the family's doing great, Billy.
Yeah.
Had 2 graduate high schools just this year.
Oh man.
Yeah. One is going on to be an architect.
You've got 5.
You got 5 in total. 2 out on their own. 2 about to be out on their own.
Is that what that's supposed to happen?
That's what's supposed to happen.
So they graduate from high school and then they're out on their own.
They're out. That's it.
Does that mean like what happens at that point? Because I haven't noticed any difference yet.
I know.
Sorry, guys. Other than the bills have gotten a little bit steeper.
Yeah, right. I'm very blessed. All my children have jobs. Yeah. They were very. My youngest, the 16-year-old, she was chomping. She wanted to get a job last year. As soon as she found out that she could legally get a job at 15
and make some money,
she wanted. And we were like, no, just wait another year. But they're all working. They're all very hard workers.
Yeah,
and they are excited about going out into the world and hitting it head on.
That's way cool.
Yeah, one wants to be an architect. The other wants to rescue all the animals in the world. She wants a farm, and she just wants to bring them all in.
I mean, how cool is that?
It's awesome.
I mean, that's life, right? I mean, you raise these kids in the same house, and it's like we're all wired differently. Some of us are amazing at technology, and some of us are still trying to find that.
Oh, it's funny. Not a single one of them wants anything to do with computers.
No video games.
I know. I start this business. I'm thinking my kids are going to take it over for me. I can read. No. I'm not retiring anytime
No
soon.
thanks, right? Oh. Okay, so I want to get into one more thing with you, and that is the new platform here that IronRoad is jumping on.
Yeah.
So with Infor. So Infor, $3 billion company out of New York City, positioning themselves for an IPO in the near future. Great leadership under Charles Phillips, former Marine and former president of Oracle, and tremendous leader, has assembled an amazing team and an amazing platform.
Oh, it's great.
So tell our listeners a little bit about if they come and work with IronRoad, what does that mean for them in regards to technology, and how does it help them scale their business so that they can do more of what they do?
So what Infor has done for IronRoad is brought on just a world-class human capital management system. Much like the Tech Sherpa's cybersecurity system, Infor is using machine learning and artificial intelligence to better understand how to service employees. Their system in the background runs algorithms that looks at the activities of employees and helps the managers make better decisions on how to manage those employees, how to deliver services to those employees, to keep the employees engaged, keep a productive, happy workforce with a great environment.
So they're looking at things like the number of inquiries their employees have regarding health insurance, or it's studying any kind of activity, sick days.
It goes beyond that. For example, the recruiting module looks at the job position description, where it's at, and then examines data, demographic data about that area, about that populace, and then finds people that are best suited for the job based on that demographic data.
Isn't that crazy?
That's available, that's publicly available. So, say you have a cashier position, right?
Yep.
Instead of looking at it just as another cashier position, let's find somebody that is engaged with the products that you're selling, okay, and is close within the proximity, or that is willing to move. Now, that's a lot of data for a human being to comb through.
Think about that.
Right,
how much time does a human being have to spend reading, calling, talking, asking?
Exactly.
And in a computer system is doing it in a matter of
minutes. It's able to comb through publicly available data. So things it'll find on Facebook or things it'll find on LinkedIn, any data about you that's available out to the public, it will comb through and make a decision of whether or not you're a good fit for this position. And so you'll find candidates that may not even know they were looking for that position. So let me ask you a question, Billy. What is the biggest benefit that you see from Infor as far as servicing your customers?
So the businesses we're serving are small.
Yeah.
They're between 2 and 2,000 employees. And
Right.
Not that 2,000 employees isn't a large employer, but those companies historically have not been purchasing that Infor product.
Right.
And so what drove our decision to do it was the potential partnership with Infor, right?
Right.
And so because of that partnership, and because now we are the payroll processor for those Infor clients that want to buy the Infor software, and we're still outsourcing the payroll, right?
Right.
We went for it because it was an amazing opportunity for us. So we're incredibly fortunate to be able to do that. We're doing something in our sweet spot, right? We're functional experts in workers' comp, HR, payroll, and benefits. And so we can do those things for the Infor client. As far as the small to medium-sized client, that 2 to 2,000, I know we went out and bought a Maserati.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And those clients aren't used to driving those Maseratis. So I think there's a ton of education that needs to take place that we're hoping to leverage with the Tech Sherpa to be able to, because small businesses are limited by their resources.
Exactly.
And so that system can only be as valuable as our ability to help educate the resources that small business can allot. I mean, you're running a small business.
Yep.
You know, how much time do you? It's the one thing that doesn't change between the big and the small.
The time is equal.
It's equal.
It's the equalizer.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, and so why we did it, the real answer to that was the partnership opportunity. The huge allure is this Maserati that we've purchased that we'd love to be able to give to every one of our clients.
Yeah.
The challenge ahead of us is determining how for each one of those separate clients we set them up for wins, right? Because we want to make them more efficient. We want for them to be able to outsource more of the things that they could care less about.
Exactly.
It's not their passion. It's not what they want to do. But for us, the key really is, and tell me if I'm not answering your question because I really want to, but for me, the key is finding employers that believe and know that their employees are their most important asset by far.
Absolutely.
And when they're willing to, when we're sitting with an owner that says, yeah, this is my best asset, then we can start making an impact, I believe, with Infor, because the power that's behind it, that employer that understands those resources, the people, are their best asset. When they are willing to give us the time to educate them and their people behind what it means to begin to utilize this artificial intelligence to better serve their people, then we can start getting places, you know?
Exactly.
They're gonna see their retention stay. Why? Because they've got, as you mentioned, AI behind the scenes looking and studying with algorithms that have been written what their employees really want.
Yep.
And then we can deliver on it, right? So that's where my head is. How far off am I?
No, it's perfect. That's great. So, it's kind of paralleled in what we're both doing in our industries, is trying to bridge that gap between enterprise services and the small business. You're bringing this large Infor. Let's not split hairs here. They typically in the past have only dealt with 10,000 and up employees.
The big boys, McDonald's.
Oh yeah, McDonald's, GE. Yeah. And so you're helping bridge that gap and bring this great platform.
Do you hear that, IronRoad clients?
Yes.
We're trying to bring you a GE platform.
Yeah. Procter and Gamble.
I mean, we got to get that across to our clients. And so you start talking about resources. We don't even have the resources to be able to properly articulate that to our clients.
Yeah.
That's tough for us.
It is tough. Yeah. It's tough to get people to understand that. It's such a huge change. It's a different way of doing things.
We've got a guy like, Scott Kukin. Scott owns Links Unlimited.
Okay.
Done a tremendous job of building that business.
Yep.
Right? I mean, amazing. I want to have him on here and have him talk about it. He's got an amazing team there. His brother Matt's there. He's got Rob Clausen is there. Jen Payne, who used to be an employee, is here. Cheryl, their HR director down there. I mean, they've assembled an amazing team, right?
Yeah.
But they don't understand yet what we want to bring to the table, and they are, 70 employees. Let's call it somewhere in there. They're booming, business really growing. Our ability to get in front of them and help them understand what this new platform can do for that company really is what I see as our biggest challenge over the next 5 years. So a huge thank you to Ken Bailey for being our very first guest on the IronRoad Way. We are excited to be able to bring you many guests that will make an impact for you. Sometimes that'll be personal. Sometimes that will be for your business. We're not going to limit it. The IronRoad Way. We are focused on being servant leaders. We believe in that leadership style, which I know Ken models every day. The last 4 years since I've known him, every time I've seen Ken do anything, he's a servant leader. There's nothing above him, nothing below him, and which is why he's such a great fit for us. But Ken, thanks for being here, man.
Billy, thanks for having me. And speaking of servant leadership, thanks for teaching me that.
Oh, that's
nice.
And
I'd never heard of such a thing until I met you, and it really has changed my life. It's changed the way I do business, the way I interact with people. It's amazing.
You could not give me a bigger compliment, but you were doing it because it's who you are. I've learned more about it from you than you have me. I promise you that. we're all in process, and it's amazing to be able to engage people with different faiths and in different cultures and different backgrounds, and to be able to come together in a small way to be able to impact other people's lives. I mean, here at our company and your company, you know, we've got 50 some odd lives that we're impacting on a daily basis, and you know, what a privilege to be able to do that.
I know. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Celebrate different people's gifts and try to empower them, and then get out of their way. And when they succeed, celebrate. And when they fail, reach down, pick them up, and dust them off and say, hey, you're all right. Let's go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So huge thank you to you. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for having me.
All righty. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next week. The IronRoad Way.